Welcome to PC Wiz Kids Tech Talk. Today I'm going to show you a mainstream board from Jetway, the MA3-785GP. So this AM3 motherboard is for the latest AMD CPUs, of course. So the Phenom 2s, the Athlon 2 and Athlon quad cores that are just coming out. Those are the ones that I would recommend you use this type of board for, not for the latest Phenoms. Low wattage CPUs only, okay? Now it is Windows 7 ready, so you don't have to worry about compatibility in drivers, okay? It will work flawlessly in Windows 7. I've tested it. And it does come with all the basics. Remember, this is a board that's running for roughly about $75 US on Newegg at the time of this video. Now, in the box, you're going to get, of course, the required stuff, the manual, and inside of that, you got the driver CD in case you're not installing Windows 7, so that's handy. And, of course, you're going to get some cables, and that's the two eSATA cables that it comes with, right? One for a hard drive and the other one for a DVD drive. That's it, okay? Again, this is a mainstream kit, assuming that you're going to build a system for under $500, okay, roughly. And there's the I/O shield plate, okay? Now, let's take a closer look at the board itself. The board itself isn't anything fancy, okay? It's basically a orange and white color scheme and basic heat sinks on it. So it doesn't have the heat pipes that you might find on more premium boards. This one here is just the basics. And it supports the AM3 CPUs only, not the AM2 or AM2 Plus. Okay, keep that in mind. No heatsink on top of the voltage regulators here at the top, just the north bridge right here. And the south bridge down here have the heatsinks. Okay, now taking a closer look here at the bottom of the board, okay, you've got your standard power plug and your battery. It's located at the bottom actually as well, and the IDE connector as well as at the bottom, just in case if you've got an old hard drive lying around. Now it does have support for PCI Express 1 and 2 PCI slots right there on the top, okay? That's just about it. Now it does have onboard video, the HD 4200, so it's DirectX 10.1 ready. And here's a closer look at the bottom of the board, again, for those interested. And it does have support, of course, for 6 SATA connectors, okay, so that's not bad for a mainstream board. And your headers there for the USB plugs, for example, are along the side over here, beside the PCI slots here on the top, okay. Now the other thing that I wanted to mention about this board is that it is a micro ATX board, okay, so it's small form factor, so it's meant to be in a small case, obviously, so a mini tower. So keep that in mind. That's why you can really build a system for roughly about $500 or less with this type of board and an AMD CPU, right? So looking at the back of the board, you've got your standard plugs for mouse and keyboard, the optical out, HDMI out, VGA and DVI out, and a whole bunch of USBs. You can see here 4 of them, your LAN, and the 5.1 channel audio. Okay, again, this is a basic board, mainstream. And here's the back of the board in case you're interested on what it looks like. Going through the BIOS, because I'd like to show you the BIOS today. So instead of doing benchmarks, just go through the BIOS so you can see what features it has. I like the power user overclocking settings. Okay, the fact that it has support for that is very good. So you can tweak your CPU. I've got installed a Phenom 2 X2 at the 550, which comes at 3 gigahertz basically, and I'm overclocking at the 3.5. Okay, so we're giving this one a boost, and we're going to tweak these settings. As you can see here with these results, I'm able to overclock it. But this isn't an overclocking video. This is just to show you the settings of this X2 550. Okay, and it comes with level 3 cache, 6 megs. I did a separate video on this, by the way, on this processor, so you can watch that if you're interested. But the BIOS itself has a lot of good support to tweak, and that's what you're looking for in a BIOS, right? Flexibility, the ability to go in and specify different options and have a little bit of control. For example, memory timings. I've got 999 memory timings by default, but I went in and I tweaked it to 77720, right? So it has the options to go in and even overclock the onboard video card, right? So instead of the default 600 megahertz on the GPU clock, I can increase it to 700, for example. Okay, so not bad that they've included that. That's good. And of course, the capability to check the temperatures of your system, which I've overclocked. I've been stress testing the system, so the temperatures are quite high right now on this CPU. They're usually idle, running around 30, but I've got it stress test, so it's quite toasty right now. And that's really about it. There's the system, okay, the different stats on what I'm running. Again, you can really build this for less than $500 for the hardware only. Now, again, 3 gigahertz, 3.1 gigahertz there is the default, okay, on this CPU. Idle, it goes as low as 26. And then on overclocking settings, 3.5 gigahertz, it'll go all the way up to 48 degrees Celsius with the CPU cooler that I have installed, of course. Different CPU coolers, you get different results, different cases, and so forth. Here's the AMD Overdrive utility, again, which is showing you the exact same settings that I have in the BIOS, okay? The same settings that I set up in the BIOS are right here in the AMD Overdrive, including the voltage and the video card settings as well, the megahertz there. So 1.4 volts is what I increased the voltage of this Phenom 2 X2 550. So not a bad mainstream $75 board. Basically, the results are pretty good on overclocking, and I'd like to thank Jetway for providing it, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.